Episode 161 Above Ground Podcast. Some kind of monster.
Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Timothy Patrick and Will Foley, are by no means medical professionals. However, having lived experience with mental illness themselves, they have gained useful perspectives on common mental health issues that some of us struggle to overcome on a daily basis. By sharing their stories, they hope to create connection. By creating connection, they hope to help you find your purpose. And through purpose, we can all begin to build the foundation for positive mental health. This is Above Ground Podcast.
Coming at you live with real conversations about mental health from the perspective. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now your hosts, TPP and Will Foley.
This episode is brought to you by Nipperfest. Nippertown is bringing you some of the best music from the capital region and calling it Nipperfest. Nipperfest is a local music festival and it's happening on Saturday, July 23rd at the Music Haven, Central Park, Schenectady, New York. Local food, local craft beer. Did I mention it's free? July 23rd it's happening, so bring down the family. Stop at the Above Ground Podcast table to say hi. P.S. This is kid and dog friendly. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of
Above Ground Podcast.
Because you can't serve below.
Whoa!
Whoa!
You know who that is?
Hey everyone, remember me? I don't.
Remember me?
Remember me. Remember me.
You have a familiar voice.
Well, you may or may not recognize me as the sultry voice that precedes every episode. That is the Above Ground Podcast.
Quack!
Quack!
Wow.
Well, I had a Red Bull.
Are we doing a fucking Aflac commercial or something?
In remembrance of Gilbert Godfrey, maybe we should.
In remembrance of Gilbert Godfrey.
Why did he do it?
He was the voice.
He was the voice of the duck, wasn't he?
And he recently
Really?
passed away. He really was.
Yeah, he was for a long time.
I may or may not be making that up, but I'm fairly
I
certain
think he
that's
was.
the case.
No, I'm pretty sure he was. But didn't he lose that gig? Or at one point or something? I forget.
He just lost it, yeah.
He just lost.
He lost it when he died.
Did he? When did he die?
Not too long ago.
Yeah.
Why is this not ringing a bell?
Yeah.
Shit. Wow. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. Wow. All right. Sorry, I'm half asleep here. Maybe I need the Red Bull.
It's all good, brother. No, I had a Red Bull on the way here and a couple of fudge fancies, so I'm feeling electric. Let's do this.
Wow. Jesus Christ. I picked the wrong night.
Well,
all right, let's
I'm happy that you guys invited me here for another go around, and because the honor is all mine, I was hoping I could bring a couple of questions to your attention. At the end of every interview, you guys pose 3 serious, not so serious questions to your guest. I want to ask each of you 3 questions. Hopefully, get an honest answer. What do you think?
Hey.
The same questions? We get the same?
You both get to answer the same questions.
All right.
Will, I'll start with you.
Oh, boy. Ooh. Yay.
What is the best meal you've ever had in your entire life or your favorite food?
Well, my favorite foods are pizza and tacos. And I could throw hot dogs in there, too, because I do tend to, especially in the summertime, man, that grill, but if I had to choose something, it's pizza, it's tacos. And taco pizza is kind of good too, but pizza is my favorite food though. I think
you're a simple guy. I like it.
Yeah.
Timmy, best meal you've ever had in your life or your favorite food?
I don't know if I can think of the best meal that I've ever had or that I have had in my life. Nothing's coming to mind. I mean, I've had some good meals, but one thing that I don't know where it was. It was at a bed and breakfast sort of thing, but it was lamb, and it was delightful.
Yeah, you're a big lamb. You love lamb, don't you?
Yeah, lamb is good. It's an acquired taste. It's not for everyone, but if it's your thing, then
yeah.
Man,
I like meat, so.
Do you?
Yeah.
I can tell by looking at you.
I would say though, I think all around though, if I had to pick a certain dish, it would probably be sushi or some kind of goulash with like just beans and meat and sauce and noodles.
Something rich. Sticks to the bowl. Like when you're done with it, you need a good piece of bread to wipe the sauce off the side of the bowl.
Yeah.
My favorite meal though is breakfast.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with that.
Like, and the thing is like breakfast. Like my favorite breakfast thing is just a BEC, man, bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Like it's my favorite thing, and it's like that you can have any time of day or night.
You know what makes all the difference, though, is the type of bread or roll or...
I prefer a hard roll.
Hard roll. Kaiser
roll.
roll.
A hard roll, Kaiser roll. Maybe even a bagel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you got to have it on toast, that's okay, too.
That'll do.
That'll do.
Yep.
Or, I mean, even a wrap will be okay. But
Yeah, wrap's good. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this next question because it's going to be a surprise no matter what the answer I get. Current favorite song? Will, go ahead.
Current favorite song? Oh, shit. I can't tell you what my current favorite song is because truthfully, like my favorite songs are just old songs most of the time. But I've been listening to a lot of different stuff lately. And I don't really have like a current go-to favorite song. But like I've been listening to a lot of like Evergrey because the Evergrey new album. I just listened to the new Post Malone album the other day, which I think is great. And I like all kinds of genres, so I kind of listen to a little bit of everything. So I don't have a current favorite song. Like
it's an acceptable answer.
Yeah. Like
Nothing stands out as the one that kind of speaks to you at the moment.
No, and even all my favorite artists that have released new music recently, like I'm not really into a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. Tim, what is your current favorite song?
I would probably say anything off the Fear Inoculum record by Tool.
Any one of the songs you could pick, anyone. Yeah.
Probably Descending, but anyone would work for me.
You seem pretty fond of that album.
Yeah,
I know you anticipated it for a long time. So
it's good. It's very tasty.
Tasty. Kind of like an egg sandwich.
With bacon.
Yeah, with bacon.
With bacon.
And some ketchup. I know it's sacrilege to some people to put ketchup on eggs, but
No,
I do.
Not at all. I'll put mayonnaise on my egg sandwiches.
Really?
Oh my God! You haven't lived until you put Miracle Whip on an egg sandwich with a runny
first
yolk.
of all, that's not
with
mayonnaise.
A runny yolk.
Miracle Whip is not
It's
mayonnaise.
dressing. It's
Right, it's dressing.
But
it's not
have
mayonnaise.
you ever?
No.
You? Then how can you?
I've only had Miracle Whip a couple times,
Yeah.
and I just prefer the taste of mayonnaise way more.
Tim knows me pretty well at this point. He knows that I'm from a small town. I grew up listening to Kid Rock, and I put Miracle Whip on my egg sandwiches. So that's out there,
He
dude.
enjoys the simple pleasures in life.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
All I'm trying to do is win you
And
over,
I'm
Will.
not even talking. And I'm not even talking about the Miracle Whip on the eggs.
Oh no! All right, guys. Last question. All right. Well, third question. Definitely not the last. Will, when did you feel love today?
Oh man. When did I feel loved today? But just before I came here.
Okay.
Just before I came here, my kid gave me a big hug, and I felt loved.
Nice.
And that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough for me, and I'm good with that.
Very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Tim, when did you feel loved today?
Virtual hugs, Timmy. Virtual hugs.
I would probably the closest thing to it would be driving here.
On the way here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it like a moment of quiet reflections?
Well, yeah, it's just a little bit of excitement because we're coming back into the studio, and I get to see Will and you, and it's a little bit of a drive too, which is good because then I can just kind of turn my music on and
Yeah. Sometimes that quiet moment that you get in between activities allows you the necessary time to reflect on what it is that you've done earlier in the day and what it is you're about to do. It's like a pause between activities.
I agree.
Gives you that moment to reflect. I agree on the way here. It's a beautiful drive. The sun is setting. You're thinking a lot, thinking about what do you want to say, how excited you are to see the guys, and it is a good feeling. Will, I was talking to Tim a while back about, some stuff that was going on in my life currently, and one of those things was, and I thought you'd be interested in discussing with me tonight is making friends with your monsters.
Oh, yeah. Hey, making friends with your demons.
Making friends with your demons. And I'm sure it's been discussed many times on this podcast, but it's worth discussing again, hopefully.
I think anytime that we can open up the closet, invite our demons out, sit down, play some cards, maybe even make some BECs and shit. If they really want Miracle Whip, well, then you gotta abide, man. The dude abides. The dude abides. So.
Right, man. So if you got this monster, let's say, living in your house, and your house is full of many rooms, and there's a room that you don't open that door, the door is shut. What's in that room? It's your monster.
No, not in mine.
Okay, tell me about your monster.
Well, we've talked about this. The room in my house is actually very, very comforting. On first look. If you were to open the door, it's nice and warm. The lights are bright. It plays really good music.
It invites you in.
But once you get into that room, the lights go out and it's done.
The door shuts behind you?
The door shuts behind you and you're stuck in the middle of the floor reaching, going, where's the light switch? Because the light switch always changes.
Tell me more about that. So you've obviously been in that scenario where you've been lured in, the door's closed behind you. What's in that room with you, or are you alone?
I'm alone in that room with my thoughts. It's my thoughts. It's those monsters that are there. It's the doubts. It's the doubts. It's the perceived failures. It's the light fading quicker, and the lights don't all go out immediately. They fade. And sometimes you don't even notice the fade until the room is pitch dark.
Where do you think the doubts come from?
The doubts come from my lack of self-worth at times, or my thought that I should be somewhere or something or doing something that I'm not. And there's also that misperception that I have to be doing something necessarily.
That you have to be busy or productive to serve a purpose or have value?
Yes. Right. Yeah, because every day a lot of this comes to value, as you've probably recognized.
Yeah, he said that like he knows exactly what.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not asking questions. I'm affirming, reaffirming what you're saying. I have a deep fear that there's parts of my past that wait for me like a shadow to creep up on me and take over the wheel of the bus that I'm driving. Like there's a 17-year-old angry kid that lives in a room in my house, and that person is me. I'm afraid of that person because behind that shut door, they're punching holes in the walls and screaming obscenities at their mother. Now, that's a part of me that's behind me, well behind me at this point. And at a certain point in the past couple of months, I was forced to actually look at that person and say, why am I afraid of becoming that again? I looked at that boy in the eyes, realized that there's nothing to fear. Instead, I saw someone who needed my compassion. When I was compassionate towards the monster, I became friends with the monster, and there was no longer fear. I left that door open to that room and allowed him to join me to live in this house. We're going to make friends. Once I realized that, it's not like he was defeated. Instead, he was accepted. It wasn't a foe to be battled. This whole time, I thought that the person that I was afraid of coming out of the shadows to haunt me was something that I needed to defeat by either running away from or not acknowledging. But in the process of doing that, I've actually wasted a profound amount of time running for myself.
And I've been running that race right next to you.
Yeah.
Do you think that our demons or shadows are there to maybe teach us?
There's something to be learned from everything if you ask me. Something, yeah, well, are they there to teach us? They taught me a lot in that having compassion for the monster taught me to also have compassion for myself because I am that monster. You have to eventually face what it is you're running from, or you'll continue running from it.
Right.
How do you build up the courage to turn around, look it in the eyes, confront it? How do you know that you can survive that battle?
You don't.
You don't.
You don't. But
You don't know. Is that what you're saying? Like, you don't know if you can survive?
Yeah, you don't know if you can
Right.
survive that battle. And again, though, and I'm interested to hear your take on this, is that maybe you're not supposed to know if you can survive it. And again, unfortunately, not everybody survives this battle. I mean, yes, okay, nobody gets out of here alive. Whether you survive all your battles or not, at some point, death is coming, man. And that's the only guarantee in life, is that you're going to face death at some point. You don't know when it's coming. But maybe we're not all supposed to survive those battles.
I've heard someone say recently that we have to spend our lives preparing to die.
Well, and I think that that's a really, really brave way to look at it. But most of us don't shake hands with death and walk away.
Well, that's the fear.
It can be. I think, at least I can only speak from my own personal experience, is that for the couple of times that I've legitimately faced death, whether it was nearly drowning in a pool when I was young, or putting a plan together to kill myself, okay? Those are like the first battle. I had no idea that, like, wasn't even thinking about dying the day I fell in the pool, where I was thinking about dying the other way. And I think there's a certain kind of comfort in meeting that challenge and overcoming it. However, to say that I'm always going to overcome that challenge, I can't make a guarantee about that. Nobody can.
Often we don't get guarantees in life.
Well, there are no guarantees.
So, Will, you describe the room in your house that lures you in with comfort, keeps you there, and traps you as the light slowly dies behind you when the door is shut. Tim, you have a house. There's rooms in that house you don't go in. There's other rooms you spend a lot of time in. Is there a monster in one of those rooms?
Yeah, I think I mean, in my mind, there's a monster in each room, a different kind of monster.
Monsters you live with and other monsters you don't?
I just think that more of a different level of monster. They're just different. They're all present. They're all poignant in it. They all have a point, but they're just different. There's different levels. You know what I mean? Like one monster could be. It's kind of relative, I guess. Maybe is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but you may walk past that closed, locked door, hearing the rattling and suffering happening behind that door, and you may think to yourself, "Well, I'm never going to open that door for fear of what I may see." It's like a rabid dog standing on the other side. Why would you open that door? You know it's going to attack you.
Yeah, I don't have those thoughts, I guess. I think for me, unless my reality is that monster, I try to, I don't know, I guess I try to be more present with my monsters and distinguish whether it's an image, or it's some figment of my imagination, or it's a part of me. Some of them are a part of me. Some of them are just shadows or whatever. Some of them are just made up, because of certain circumstances that I've gone through and walked out, but they leave little marks. They leave little bits of shadow with you, and you carry that darkness And sometimes it depends if you feed it. I think what Will was saying, like, you know, if you're going to be talking about a specific monster or shadow, whatever, I think coming from their end of it, they're indifferent. They don't really care one way or another about us, whether we live or die. They don't. There's nothing that they're there to just go, here, man. Like, you can probably do this. You know what I mean? If you don't do this, that, you know, hey, that sucks. But like, I'm not rooting for one or the other.
I wanted to say this because you asked about, or the conversation between you two came up about whether your monsters are there to show you something or not. I think that, yes, they are there to show you something. And it's up to us how we want to perceive what we're actually looking at.
That's kind of what I heard Tim saying.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you said it a lot better than I did.
And the thing is that, like, yes, okay. And again, depends on what time of the day and what, how I slept and all these other things, how I can perceive that monster. Because it may just be that, I'm having a bad day and all of a sudden something triggers a thought that brings that monster up. And that monster just happens to not necessarily even be a monster anymore. It just happens to be someone that I'm like, oh, okay, hey, I see you over there. It's
You're absolutely right. You're right.
Now, do I have that ability every day? No, I don't. And I don't personally think anybody has that ability every day. So I think we all have a finite amount of days, and we don't ever know what that finite amount is because we don't know when it's coming. And again, like, we have an infinite number of experiences that we've experienced in these times in our lives, and any one of those experiences can be friend or foe because it's all in how we perceive them. So I don't, and again, but like you said, if you, and we've been trying, and I've been trying to talk more about this because I need this myself, is to look at everything as a learning experience. You can't take everything personally. And I never realized how much shit I took personally.
So, Will, it sounds like you've actually took the time to learn from your monsters. You're speaking from experience.
I'm learning from my monsters.
Okay.
And again, like you said, when you talked about that 17-year-old boy punching holes in the wall and screaming, look, man, I was there too as a teenager. And there's a lot of reasons that we have that happen to us. And what it is I've also learned as growing up, like, you throw in life experience that a lot of you don't actually have a choice in, because let's face it, as a kid, you're kind of getting whatever is thrown at you, because you don't really, you don't have full autonomy. And if you don't have somebody to help you make sense of that, and you have to make sense of that on your own, and then when you talk about a certain age, like, you hit that teenage years where your body is changing, your chemistry is changing, and everything's changing, it creates this typhoon of that comes in, and we know what, like, typhoons do. They bring in everything that's in the water, everything that's on land, so you don't know what's gonna hit first.
It's like a mental storm that happens between your late teen years and your early 20s, and then you're left picking up the pieces throughout your 20s and your 30s.
You certainly can be. You certainly can be. And I mean, I think, again, we all suffer something. We all suffer something from the human condition as we grow. We just don't all have the same levels of it.
Yeah.
And and we don't all have the ability to recognize it and work through it. I do think that most of us have the ability to work through it. I just think a lot of people choose not to because it's too hard. It's too painful.
Of course it's hard. Of course.
It's too scary. There's too many unknowns.
I think some people are just riddled with doubt. They don't think they can.
They doubt themselves, and they also doubt their ability to overcome their past. Right? And once you start to learn from your past, like we're talking about now, then you start to remember that there are also future monsters that haven't quite shown themselves yet.
Absolutely. The monsters never go away.
Right.
Monsters never go away.
There's a book that I read a while ago. It's called Feeding Your Demons. And I remember, I don't know why, but I just took a chance on it, and it just sounded appealing to me. And it turned out being something completely different than what I had thought. And it was basically feeding your demons love and compassion. You know, it's kind of that. I think there's the demons within us all have this, like, they're all broken pieces of us, and they have like these unmet needs that maybe were our unmet needs at one point, and maybe that they're like trying to teach us something, or if you're looking at it in that light, you can say like they're trying to help me heal, actually, because if you can feed your demons love, or if you can kind of work through your demons, however it is, in a positive way, then you're going to be that much better off. I think, especially if you're looking at it in terms of healing, I think you're going to be on your path.
Yeah, well, they're going to help you heal if healing is your intention.
Right.
You have to have intention.
Well, yeah.
Something you guys do when you have interviews on the show is, you ask your guests often what they would do for mental health if there were no restrictions at all. Like if they had a huge budget and all the help that you could ever muster. And there's a lot of really fascinating answers to that question. I wanted to ask you guys, if you could use your imagination, what does the future of mental health look like in our world, in this country, specifically? The future of mental health.
What do I want it to look like, or what do we think it will look like?
If you were to answer it honestly, what you think it will look like, the future of mental health. I personally, like if I were to add my 2 cents before you both answer, I thought maybe there would be more counseling sessions and therapy sessions for individuals, like a yearly checkup with your primary care physician. There would be a yearly checkup with a therapist or a counselor, just as a precaution, not as a necessity. It doesn't make sense to me that we can go our whole life. Some of us can go our whole lives without talking to a therapist or a counselor, yet we see a physician, a family physician, every single year. Mental health is health. I think that would be a cool thing to see in the future. And another thing I'd like to see in the future is the use of psychedelics, and in the process of healing and finding answers for some people with trauma.
Yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback on the first thing that you said about that you thought therapy would be like one of these yearly checkups. Mm-hmm. The big issue with all of that is that you have to have the people that can do those types of things. And right now, we don't have enough therapists. And yes, okay, there's a lot more people coming through the system and coming through school, but I still don't think that there's going to be enough to address the real problems. And I think that people need to recognize that a professional can't fix you unless you're willing to work on yourself. And self-reflection is not in 2022, self-reflection is only a thing that we either see on social media for a lot of people, or in the scamfluencers, or in any of that shit that like we have now. Like I don't necessarily know if there's enough real legitimate people who have the skills. Like, there's people that have skills, okay, but I've developed my skills, but do I have the skills to help somebody work through things all the time? No. And that's the humility of me being a human being, to say, okay, yeah, I've got a little bit of knowledge and my life experience, but am I the one to help you? No, maybe not.
Maybe not at this point in time do we have enough professionals for the general population, but maybe in the future I would like to see, not a doctor for every person, but a mental health professional, or at least an advocate, to talk to most people on a yearly basis if they should so choose. It's up to me or you to make appointments with our physicians and go have our yearly checkup. I don't have to.
Absolutely.
But I do, because I know it's probably for the best
to
have a physical done yearly.
Right. But what I wanted to say about that is that, and I like what you said, and I've been saying this, and this is my tagline: mental health is just as important as your physical health. Everyone has mental health. It's not, oh, I'm having mental health now. No, you have mental health, okay? Your health may not be the best. Just like you may not be in the best physical health, but you have physical health. It just may not be in the best. That doesn't mean you're sick. It just means you may not be in the best shape. Everybody has mental health. It's not everybody has a mental health challenge or a mental illness. And I do think that, yes, I think that conversations like ours and with the people that we talk to and a lot of people online, I don't want to say everyone online, because it's certainly not everyone online, but we all have mental health. It's just what we do with it and whether we acknowledge it or not. And I still don't think that everybody's willing to acknowledge it. And I don't think that that's going to change in a year, in 5 years.
No, but not everyone is willing to acknowledge that their poor diet and their poor health decisions ultimately cause their demise, that cause their weight gain and their loss of memory and their dullness. I mean, a lot of people don't ever go to a gym or eat green foods. They just eat processed, packaged.
But the thing about it is, you see your body every day. Okay, you see it.
So you don't notice the changes over the long term.
You don't know. You see the changes in your body.
So you're in your head every single day. You don't notice the changes long term.
But you don't recognize your head as being. Most people don't have. I think we get better as we learn, but we don't start off with. We look at ourselves in the mirror every day. And that's a vanity thing, or it's just that thing, because you see yourself every day. We don't look at our minds every day. See, that's the problem with this separation of everything, is that, like, we look at our mental health as something separate from our body, because, dude, your thoughts aren't coming across your head like a scroll. Okay, like
you made a good point there. We look at ourselves in the mirror every day, but we don't look into our own minds every day. At least most of the general population
most
doesn't.
Of the general population.
How would you tell someone if they came up to you on the street and they asked you, "Will, how do I look into my mind on a daily basis to see where I'm at, to assess my mental image?"
I would start by asking them, do they have 5 minutes to be quiet?
Start taking notes, people.
Because again, being quiet and being able to sit with your own mind is a practice that, even on a daily basis, I can't even attain some days. There are just some days when my brain is just jumping everywhere like bullfrogs, and I just can't. Like, it's
sit quietly for 5 minutes a day.
Sit quietly and then ask yourself, how am I really feeling?
Tim, how do I look into my mental mirror on a daily basis?
Can you? I'm not sure I really understand the question.
Will said to assess your physical appearance, you would look in a mirror and see where you're at, to get a reflection of your outward appearance. How do you look at a reflection of your mental appearance?
Well, I think I don't. I think it's a gradual. I think it's like micro doses that over time, because you have to have insight and you have to know yourself. You have to be completely aware you and your body.
Do you think everyone's capable of that?
I do.
Everyone has the capacity to know themselves.
Yes.
I inherently, I think we do. I don't think everybody possesses the willingness
Or
to
the
do
want.
it. That's
Right,
the
but that's a
willingness.
different question. But yeah, but they have the ability.
But I will say,
if
I
you
do
drink,
think
if
most
you drink
people
a
have.
shitty drink, or if you eat a shitty meal, you're gonna feel shitty, right?
I don't. Not everybody has. Not everybody has that. Like, I don't think. I think that there's a very, very small portion of people who legitimately do not have the cognitive ability to recognize.
Fair enough. Well, that's a small slice of our population.
Yes.
Are they to be left by the wayside?
No, absolutely not.
Then who's going to stand up for them and protect them? Is it going to be the medical professionals, the medical mental health care community, your yearly check-in?
Well,
maybe that's the future of mental health in America, is your yearly mental health check-in, your mental health and wellness check-in, where you get to sit face-to-face with a counselor, peer professional therapist, whatever their title may be, say, this is how I'm feeling. They'll make an assessment, a yearly assessment, maybe more if needed, and then they can move on from there. I think if I were to go to my physician and they checked my pulse and it was fast and they did a blood sample and said, well, you have this issue that we need to look more into. If that whole system is in place to keep me alive as long as possible and keep my quality of life as high as it possibly can be. If we were able to do that with mental health,
well, that's the thing.
We could save lives.
You have to have the system that's involved partake. You can't just go, oh, well, we're going to have these check-ins, yearly visits, and people aren't just going to go, oh, okay, now they're available, I'm going to go do it. Like, there needs to be much more talk, much more conversations, much more awareness.
I agree, but you start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
I agree. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like as you probably both know, with a lot of insurance companies or whoever offers, like, hey, if you get your annually checkup, you get a $25 gift card. You know what I mean? There's like incentives to, you know what I mean? And
a lot of these issues are left up to the government to solve.
I'm good with incentives. I'm good with incentives. I have no problem with incentives.
I didn't say I had a problem with it, but I'm just saying that the these establishments, or whatever you want to call them, the system has to push it. You can't just build a house and go, well, they're going to come here now because I built the house. Like, it's not going to work that way. You have to talk about it. You have to say, you know what, like, this matters. You can't just go, oh, well, this guy's on YouTube talking about it and it's great, but we're not going to push it because we're going to make sure that we sell cigarettes because they get taxed and we can make $1 gazillion off of you.
Well, advertising is advertising no matter what they're selling. Okay,
yeah, it doesn't matter what you're selling.
You could be selling the cure, or you could be selling the disease. Advertising is advertising.
Well, but I'm saying is you have to have some kind of, if you want to call that advertising, then you have to have some kind of
marketing. You got to market that idea. It's a sales pitch.
Well, you do have to market that idea because that's how things are done. And again, if you don't put it in front of somebody,
right.
Again, and this is that was my point with saying you get a literal reality check every day when you get up and you go into the bathroom and you look at yourself. You can see the new lines, you can see the bags under your eyes. You do not see the thoughts. You do not see the negative things because it's not visible. And in our society, we have been programmed from day one to only see what we can see. We sell a blind faith that something is out there, okay? And and they tell you that the proof that something is out there is by these man-made books or these man-made ideas. But we still don't really know. So you have to have a little bit of faith. But people find it easier to put faith in something else outside of them because they don't recognize that everything comes from within.
No one told them that, like you just said, that I think our culture preys on that everything is external. Like, here, this is this, and this is this. No one's ever saying, like, it's like, you're good where you're at.
Culture is everything, though. And again, man,
doesn't he argue with me about this, though?
Yeah, but here's
it's not an argument.
It's not an argument. The fact is that culture is everything,
right? And I always say that it's a variable, and you're like,
it's a variable. But again, like Jim Rohn said this, man. Like, there's 4 seasons.
Okay.
You can't fight the seasons. You can't change the seasons. You're not going to change the culture. Like, culture will adapt, culture will progress, if
we're not going to change the culture,
will regress.
Why is there so many movements if we're not going to change the culture?
And why do you have a mental health podcast if you're not going to change the culture?
Because we're pragmatic. I would like to think we can.
Okay.
But again, like you said, and you've said this to me numerous times, well, why don't they share our stuff? They're sharing this person's stuff because it's somebody sold them. And that's the thing. Like, that's marketing. That's unfortunately a part that you're never going to get away from, regardless of whether it's a podcast, an idea, a movement, or anything. Like,
Back to the future of mental health. I mean, that's just an idea I had in mind. The yearly mental health.
It's a great idea. It is a great idea.
There's a lot of logistics that have to be put in place to make that possible. We need the professionals, and we need to push it.
But until we recognize and believe that mental health is just as important as physical health, then that won't change. Because I don't know. Have you had your physical this year?
In July.
Okay, you'll have it in July. Yeah. And when you go to the doctor, their little sheet is going to be, for your mental health, when you check in with your doctor for your physical, is going to be like 3 questions.
On a scale from 1 to 5, are you feeling this way?
Yeah. And again, that's how we look at it.
But that's a start. That's a start. We're doing that because when I was young, maybe even 12, 15 years ago, we didn't do that.
Well, we wouldn't even be having this discussion almost
Fair
15
enough.
years
So
ago.
in 15 years, we've come that far.
We have progressed.
That's progress.
To this. That is progress. And progress is very slow, as we know.
As it should be, because you need to feel things out. You can't just dive into unknown waters. Sometimes it's safer to take a cautionary exploration.
This isn't unknown. This is well known. This is well documented. That
you got to think about this at scale. And we're not just talking about the 3 of us in this room. We're talking about 330 million humans just in the United States.
They push
every
other
one of
stuff
them with
that
mental
they
health.
know is deadly.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Well,
so they know that this is positive.
And have they made mistakes in the past? We say they, but we know who we're talking about. They make mistakes in the past. They'll make mistakes in the future.
Well, we're all part of the they.
We are they.
We are they.
Yes.
Like, we are they. Like, again, to separate yourself from, like, that's the thing. Like, that's
I'm not they.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Not they.
That's the problem that I have with, like, arguing about culture all the time and shit. It's because we are they. Like,
you are
that's
culture.
We are culture.
You're being a fan of my views without saying it. By your words, what you're just saying is you're agreeing with me, but then you say that, like...
The thing is that culture is what it is. And culture has become, like, we have everything in society because of culture in one way or another. Whether you like it or not is not really. It's not a matter. It's not a matter of liking it or not. It's a matter of.
It's just a matter of is it positive? Is it conducive to?
Yeah, but again, it's up to you
health.
to make that decision. You may not agree with something you see on TV, and you may say it's bad for your mental health.
I'm with you, but other people don't have that kind of. I guess autonomy. I don't know. They don't believe there's people that, like, watch the news and believe that the shit's real. Like, they're watching it and going, yeah.
Well,
depends. There's some people that watch Top Gun and believe that it's real.
Huh?
Depends on what you're seeing now.
Well, there's people that watch Top Gun and believe that it's real. It's all fantasy. Well, people believe what they want to believe, regardless if it's real or not. That includes the news. That includes Harry Potter.
True.
So,
but what I'm saying is, if you can promote positive, mental wellness things instead of
I suggest
the other stuff.
Yes, I hear you. I believe in you, and I agree with you. And I suggest that if that's the change that you want to see, then you start within. You start with yourself.
No. I'm just saying it out loud. That's why I said I'm not they. I can only change myself. So I'm not they because I don't put shit out there that they put out there.
Then good for
I'm
you.
putting out what I need to put out, and it may not be, you don't have to agree with it, but it's stuff that I believe in and stuff that I know that is positive towards mental health.
And I agree with you, and I applaud your effort. And I think if you gave it enough time and consistency, you would see change. You're not going to see it tomorrow. Like looking in the mirror every day, you won't see the changes.
Well, let me ask you this, because you kind of, by you saying that, I kind of like, and I'll be interested in your take on this then. So we're having this conversation. Do you feel any responsibility towards what you say and put out there?
Of course.
Okay. I'm not, this is not an argument. I'm just asking.
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people that put out shit that say that they're not responsible.
I'm responsible for my words, but I'm not responsible for how you take them or how you react to them or how you act on them. No.
But
I'm not. I'm not responsible for that.
I know you're not responsible. I know you're not responsible for how people perceive your words. However, isn't there a responsibility towards us as individuals to not? And maybe this is just me, or maybe I'm really naive. But isn't it better to do a little homework and then? I don't know.
Well, let me get in on this. This is something that Tim and I have talked about in a previous conversation, that whenever something comes up in the media, in culture, look at it as if it's somehow your fault, as if somehow you've contributed to it. By some small degree.
We have. We all have.
I'm not saying to take personal accountability for world affairs. It wasn't you who started the war in Ukraine. But how have you, in some small degree, contributed to it? How?
Well, right.
Okay, and that's where you can start, because that's local. That's within you.
That's where you should start. And that's where you should start.
And I'm not saying that you need to march over to Europe and start fighting the war on their behalf. I'm not saying to go march around the White House and fight for whatever cause they're fighting for today. But what I'm saying is that there's something happening inside of you that you can be, that you can take accountability for, that you can overcome, that everything begins from within. Instead of externalizing anything, any of your feelings, start bringing it in and saying, how can I confront this here and now inside myself? I could point the finger at you. I could say, well, it's your fault. You did this. You are that. You are culture. You are society. You are the media. Look at yourself. How have I done this? How am I to blame? Where did I go wrong? And what can you do? Well, one of the options is to turn off the news. Another option is to only speak of things that bring you love, happiness, and pleasure.
But I'm going to say this, and that is a part of the issue that I have with some of this, is that by ignoring certain things, or by saying you're not going to acknowledge certain things, or not by saying I'm not going to take a stand on this, then you are, in my estimation, then you are foregoing your responsibility towards anything.
You don't have to have an opinion on every world affair. You don't have to have something to say
I agree.
or knowledge on everything that comes up in our society. You don't have to have something to say about everything.
You don't have to have something to say about it. You don't. However, it's hard to not have something to say when
you feel obligated.
Look at things. No, but when you look at the scope of things and you see how interconnected things are, I think we do have a responsibility.
Then answer for your share, not everyone else's.
That's kind of it goes with exactly what he was saying. Is like, you can, but like, don't stand on a podium and start preaching to strangers. Like, stay within your household and your circle.
But how do you change ideas if you're not going to get up and say, well, I have an idea?
You change what's going on within you.
Change the way you do things.
And everyone else follows suit. hopefully, in a perfect world.
Well, again, like...
I mean, technically, you're not really going to ever change some people. That's just...
no, you're not. I mean,
just not going to
you're
happen.
not.
So, I mean, we can get on this podcast and start talking mental health and make, again, maybe tiny little minuscule changes along the way. I mean, that's about... I mean, if there's another way, sure. But at the same time, like, what am I going to do? Stand up and yell at somebody because they're not listening to me, or shun them out? And then it's like, it goes back to another conversation we had with Unity. It's like there's this, you want circles and circles, and then you start arguing, well, no, it was them. No, it was them. No, it was you. And no. And then there's going to be 5 circles. Then there's going to be 2 guys that aren't allowed in any of those circles. What are those 2 guys going to do?
Either start their own circle or desperately plead to be a part of one of the others, conforming to be a part of those circles.
Or there's a third one.
What's the third option?
Burn down every fucking circle that surrounds them.
Nah, I don't know if that's possible.
It's a school shooter.
Everything's possible, dude.
Think about that.
All right. Dude, I don't think we want to get into this
I
conversation.
don't want to get into it, but the person who's been excluded from circles could very well be
Absolutely.
Well,
an irrational mind.
Here's the other idea of that. Mm-hmm. The person who goes in to do that thinks that their idea is more important than everybody else's idea, and the way that they've learned to take care of that idea is by violence.
But isn't that
see, we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
See,
I'm
conversation.
not saying you're not doing violence, but you're also putting your views and your personal own agenda or whatever. You're imposing it on other people.
I'm not imposing anything on anybody. You just said it yourself. What we say is our responsibility.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go by what I say.
That's true. That's true.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, you were saying, like, if you don't speak up about this, then you're part of the problem.
You are, in my estimation.
But if you can speak up about it without imposing your views on
I
other
can
people.
I can speak up and stand up for my side of the street without waving my finger in front of you to say, if you don't conform to I'm going to kill you, or I'm gonna push your ideas.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna push my ideas until I shove a fucking AR-15 in your face and blow your brains out.
The idea of
unity,
the idea of unity, though, is for you to be able to say and state your opinions, and for me to be able to say and state my opinions, and for us to shake hands and walk away without going to war over what makes us different.
Right. Because most of what makes us different is very small compared to what makes us whole. But I think that there's a responsibility to stand up and say that this was wrong. And what are we going to do to fix it?
But that takes someone to determine what's wrong.
By ignoring it and not saying that it's been going on is ignoring it. And you can't fix anything if you don't acknowledge it.
Let me
We've
ask
said
you this.
that.
Serious question. I've done, like, in the past where if people put out shit on social media, I'm kind of taking your stance as, like, I feel the need that I need to kind of interject and counter this because it's a terrible message.
Yes.
But you kind of tell me, like, sometimes, like, that's kind of a shitty, like, you shouldn't do that.
But here's the thing. Right. And you're right. And that I have said that. But it's not, like, again, I'm not going to call, like, because for me, I see it in certain instances with you. I've seen it on certain things. So I've said to you about those things. It's not because you had that stand, but I've noticed a pattern in that stand. And it usually stems in certain fashions. It's not because you have that stance, but it's because of who it is and what you're calling out. Because again, like, but it's okay. To like, that's the problem, and maybe that's even in me in an unrecognized bias too, because I have my own biases for sure, and that is one thing that I've really learned, that I have my own biases that weren't recognizable to me.
Will, are you telling a friend to pick his battles?
I think we can pick our battles. I do. I think that there's, again, like you've just said to me, you can pick certain battles. I think there are certain battles that are worth picking. I don't think all battles are worth picking.
But that is also your opinion.
Right. That is also my opinion. And we know what opinions are.
Well, feel free to share them. Don't defend them so strongly that you go to war with your friends. Or the,
right.
Or
well,
the
exactly. Or anybody else, for that matter.
But I think, in the right setting, I think you should...
In a safe setting, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a safe setting, even. As long as you can get your opinion... I think it's for me to say this is a lot because I've struggled with this before. It's all on how you say it. You know what I mean?
It's all in the delivery.
Well, this should be like this. Well, I feel that if we did it this way, it could have this result. And try and, display it in a different manner, in a positive way. I think that has a lot to do with it. You should never be afraid to throw your opinion in.
Right, but we're also taking for granted that we have self-reflection to do that too, because that does take a certain amount of self-reflection too, and not all of us have that.
Will, it seems like you're the type of person who has a lot of knowledge and information on very specific tools that you could use to assist people through certain battles, and it seems like you're very willing to use those tools to save people.
I try to. I've come to the conclusion, this is just me personally speaking, that there's very little currency in truth or answers. There's more value in questions. Yes.
You don't always have to have the answer. Sometimes all you have to do is ask questions.
No, and I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of answers I don't have. And that's the one thing that
You don't want the answers. You want questions. You want questions.
You want more questions. You want to ask better questions.
Are the currency. They are the power.
They are. And
the more you ask, the more you'll find out. Ask some questions.
Right. And then the other thing is shut up and listen for the answer, I guess.
I don't believe that you should ever shut up and listen, but you should ask questions and be prepared for the answer that you might not want. Sometimes the truth will unravel you.
You should listen, though.
You got to listen.
You absolutely should listen. I'm not saying not to shut up and stand there like a mannequin.
Yeah.
There's more to you than that.
Well, I get what you're coming. I get what you're saying, but again,
we actually in the process of this conversation, we covered pretty much all the topics I had written down, which is kind of cool because it happened naturally.
Naturally,
yeah.
It usually does when we.
I was nervous about how we're going to talk about all this, but it just happened. It just occurred without me willing it into existence.
Well, you did will it into existence. You came. You had the idea.
You wrote it down.
You wrote it down. To be quite honest with you, when I got here, I told him, I said, I'm out of it. Like, this has been one of those weeks where I'm just like out of it, and like it, that was refreshing that we could cover all those topics in that.
Yeah, It's.
I don't know if we probably haven't changed anybody's minds about anything, but at least we've got to have a good conversation.
We can walk away from this.
And I think that's it, though. I think sometimes I know I do, but I'll say we. Sometimes we lose track of that just by having these conversations is a pretty big step. You know what I mean? Just being able to have these conversations and talk about three guys sitting around talking about mental health and listening to other people's opinions. And, maybe we don't all agree, but we can respect each other and go, yeah, you know what? Or maybe you can even, go in depth and explain it further. And then someone goes, all right, now I know what you're saying. And now there's like an understanding to it. And like that's part of it, right? It's just going, yeah, I understand you now and I hear you. I may not agree, but
that's it.
You know what?
That's the whole. And not to cut you off,
you're filling that hole, and you're making your circle larger, and you're including others in your circle.
Yes, absolutely. And look, it's a struggle to include everybody. It is.
Does everyone need to be included in your circle?
Well, and that's a question for another. That's a question for another time.
Absolutely.
But then what happens with that? And again, that leads to that leads to the next question. Like, where does that? How does that?
Questions are pretty valuable, man.
Yeah, they are very valuable.
I think it kind of stems from that thing again, just being, again, I don't, like maybe I don't agree with what you do or what you say, but why don't you have a seat and we'll have a conversation. Maybe not about that, or just a conversation in general. And then we'll go, oh, geez, you know what? We get along better than we thought we did. Why don't we do this again?
Yeah, and I think that's all you can ask for.
You have to work for that outcome sometimes, though. Sometimes you'll sit across the table from someone who doesn't want to see it your way, and you don't want to see it their way.
Which is fine, though. But that's what I'm saying.
If you work for that outcome, you'll often find it.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You don't have to. I don't have to see it your way. You know what I mean?
No.
But what I think, I don't have to do anything. But what I think I would like to see done, because I think it would be more beneficial to everybody, is at least let you speak and be willing to hear what you're saying. You know what I mean?
You'll reserve judgment?
I will do my best.
No, I will never make that guarantee that I will reserve judgment, because I can't. Because I judge. I'm a human being. I judge. And we all judge, regardless of whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
I'm not saying I don't. Believe me, I'm not saying I would.
No, I'm not accusing you of not, but I'm saying.
I just would be very aware of it and be mindful to not,
I already know what I'm going to judge. And that's probably not going to change just because.
This sounds like an impediment rather than a strength.
It might be an impediment, but oh well.
You're secure enough to say, "This is me. Here I stand."
Yeah, that's
feet firmly planted. Come at me.
Yes,
I admire that.
That's our will.
Yeah,
that's our will. I wouldn't change him for a thing, man.
It is, and it's just because, that's and it's funny because it's like. This has become even hardcore in me the older I've gotten. Like, a lot of people used to say, "Oh, you think this now because you're young, and then you're going to change to this later on." No, it's fucking emboldened me even more. And it's tough. It's tough because,
so maybe this. Let me say this. Maybe I'm going to bring it back and say maybe that our demons are supposed to help shape us.
Well, I like that. And I think that they do shape us.
Yeah.
And the ability to make friends with them and invite them to come into your house and invite them to the dance and sit down at the dinner table and say, okay, well, that's an important step.
We're like clay, things come and go, take pieces from us, move us around a little bit, reshape us. We take on different forms throughout our life because what we are isn't static. It's not a static state. We can change.
No, it's not a static state.
So knowing that a demon can come along and reshape you, change you, take a chunk out of you, it's a process of learning because you have to relearn what you are after that demon has come and gone or potentially stayed with you.
Well, here's a question for you. Since you wanted to ask us questions, do you think...
Go ahead, Ward.
Oh, that's all right. This is a cool conversation.
All right, I'm just letting you. Sorry.
Because we can, and let's kind of make. It's already at. All right, so maybe we'll in half or something. Let me ask you this: do your demons? You know what? Fuck! I forgot the question I was going to ask you. No, it wasn't completely shaped. It was starting to shape as he was taught, and I was just like...
Does your demons enjoy soup?
Do I have to answer this, Will?
No, you don't. All right. Not if you don't want to. It's your choice.
I almost said Siemens. My demons do not enjoy poop. Semen demon.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess
I'm getting a case of the nighttime silly.
I guess on that note,
you can cut that out.
I want to thank Jordan for being here again.
I want to thank you guys for having me. I really enjoy this. I really do.
Yeah, it's always fun when you come in and hang out with us for a little bit, man.
Yeah. Well, I want to be of service. I want to be useful, and if I can have conversations and change myself a little bit, then
that's what it's about, man. Yeah. Like I think we may not have accomplished much or accomplished anything, but, we did have a conversation, and we took the steps necessary to have the conversation.
Right on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
So until next week, get well.
Be safe.
Stay
above.
Thank you for giving us a listen. New episodes every Wednesday. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can share, rate, review, and even subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Other ways to support the show: follow us on social media, share the content, share our episodes. You can also buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/abovegroundpod. For further concerns, show ideas, or just to say hi, you can email us at abovegroundpodcast@gmail. Once again, thank you for listening and supporting mental health. Keep the conversation going and stay above.